Is there any possibility for Japan to sink the Fujian carrier? Technical feasibility analysis. Military enthusiasts, a recent piece of news might just blow your mind. Japanese media openly boasted that if conflict erupts in the Taiwan Strait, Japan and the US possess the capability to directly sink the Fujian aircraft carrier. China's Ministry of National Defense didn't mince words, responding with 8 characters. Wishful thinking, overestimating one's own capabilities. Many people's first reaction is to feel our strong resolve, but immediately afterward, some may wonder. Japan's Sōryū-class and Taigei-class submarines are hailed as some of the world's best conventional subs, with terrifyingly low acoustic signatures. Do they really stand no chance at all? Is this us being blindly confident, or are the Japanese telling a scare story? Hold on, let's lay out the facts. This is fundamentally not a question of, can it be done? But rather of whether the laws of physics permit it. Let's start with a counterintuitive technical point. The so-called silent killer is actually a lame duck when facing an aircraft carrier strike group. This is like a heavily armed sniper trying to chase down a Ferrari speeding on the highway. No matter how accurate your shot or how good your camouflage, you won't even catch the car's exhaust fumes on foot. A submarine wants to launch a sneak attack? The prerequisite is that it has to catch up first. Here's another fact that will challenge conventional wisdom. Do you think a submarine is safe just because it's quiet and hiding underwater? That's World War II history. The modern Fujian carrier strike group not only has armed escorts, but is also equipped with an underwater demon-revealing mirror. This is like holding your breath in a dark room, thinking no one can find you, only for the other side to switch on a powerful searchlight, complete with infrared thermal imagers. Even if you were a mere rock, as long as you have mass, you are running naked in the face of active sonar. Does that sound unbelievable? Don't worry. Today we will expose the supposed invincibility of Japanese submarines and see how they are driven step by step toward despair by the 5 gates of hell. Protecting the Chinese carrier strike group. 1. The speed deadlock, an uncatchable sea Ferrari. We must first admit that Japan's Sōryū and Taigei-class submarines do have some good features. Their AIP, air-independent propulsion, systems allow them to stay submerged for a long time. However, conventional submarines suffer from a fatal schizophrenia. To be quiet, they must be slow. To be fast, they are immediately exposed, and their battery drains instantly. In AIP mode, their speed is a mere 3 to 5 knots, about the speed you'd stroll through a park after dinner. The Fujian carrier strike group, on the other hand, is a moving city on the sea, with a typical cruising speed often exceeding 20 knots. And capable of full speed dashes up to 30 knots, approximate 56 kilometers per hour. This creates an extremely awkward tactical situation. For a Japanese submarine to ambush, it must stake out the carrier's expected path days or even weeks in advance. But an aircraft carrier is not a train on a fixed track. The ocean is vast, and the route can be changed at will. If the submarine stakes out the wrong place, trying to chase, that's a pipe dream. We can refer to U.S. Navy data. In multiple exercises, the U.S. Navy found that even their most advanced nuclear submarines struggle to secure an optimal attack position when facing a full-speed, maneuvering carrier strike group, especially if they are initially positioned poorly. This is even truer for conventional submarines. The success of Germany's Wolf Pack tactics in World War II was because the Allied transport ships were slow. Today's carrier strike groups move like race cars. The pitiful maneuverability of a conventional submarine makes it unworthy of being a roadblock in the vast Pacific. 2. The brute force of active sonar. Silence is useless. Many military fans have a misconception that as long as a submarine makes no sound, sonar can't hear it. This is only half right, applying only to passive sonar. However, the Type 055 destroyers and Type 052D destroyers accompanying the Fujian carrier are equipped with medium-frequency active sonar that simply doesn't play by those rules. Active sonar violently emits acoustic pulses into the water. This is like being in a pitch-black room and instead of listening for movement, you just shine a powerful, multi-kilowatt searchlight everywhere. No matter how much an anti-sonar coating your submarine has, no matter how good its stealth is, as long as it's a metal object, the acoustic waves will hit it and bounce back. Looking at Western examples, NATO's search for Russian submarines in the North Atlantic has long since shifted from mere listening to a combined active and passive detection. When the U.S. Navy's and SQS-53 series sonar is on full power, the surrounding marine life suffers. Against that level of acoustic intensity, relying on silence for stealth is pure fantasy. Moreover, our anti-submarine helicopters are equipped with dipping sonar, which essentially flies directly over your head and knocks on your door. The silent performance that Japanese submarines pride themselves on is akin to marching naked in a parade when faced with a multi-layered anti-submarine network. 3. The underwater sword-bearing guard. Nuclear submarine bloodline suppression. When the Fujian sails out, will there be nobody following underwater? Attack nuclear submarines are a standard configuration. This is like the aircraft carrier bringing a fully armed underwater sheepdog. A nuclear submarine facing a conventional submarine is a pure case of bloodline suppression. Nuclear submarines have no endurance anxiety, infinite power, can run at over 30 knots underwater, and possess more powerful sonar and weapons. A Japanese conventional submarine wanting to approach the Fujian must first ask the escorting Blackfish if they agree. Once targeted by a nuclear submarine, a conventional submarine can neither outrun it nor fight it, leaving it only to await destruction. Let's look at a U.S. example. A standard U.S. carrier strike group, CSG, configuration always includes at least 1 or 2 Los Angeles or Virginia-class nuclear submarines for escort. In internal U.S. military exercises, the success rate for conventional submarines trying to penetrate the nuclear submarine's defense line is astonishingly low. Unless they are staging an ambush in extremely complex shallow water topography, in the deep ocean, a conventional submarine against a nuclear submarine is a dimensional reduction strike. The probability of a Japanese submarine successfully bypassing these underwater gods of war to hit the carrier is lower than winning the lottery jackpot. 4. Anti-torpedo torpedoes, giving the carrier an iron shirt. Let's assume, against all odds, that a Japanese submarine is incredibly lucky, with an ancestral blessing, and actually manages to sneak into the attack envelope and fire a torpedo. Is the Fujian finished? Too naive. Modern naval warfare is no longer the era of one shot, one kill. The Chinese Navy has already deployed world-leading anti-torpedo torpedo systems. What is this black technology? Simply put, it uses a small torpedo to intercept the enemy's large torpedo. This is even more difficult than intercepting a missile in the atmosphere due to the complex underwater acoustic environment. But we have achieved it. This is equivalent to giving the Fujian a golden bell shield, iron cloth shirt defense. In the past, carriers defended against torpedoes by maneuvering to evade or just taking the hit. Now they use direct, hard kill measures. This is a top high-tech project even in Western countries. The U.S. Navy's SSDD, Surface Ship Torpedo Defense, has been in development for years with limited effectiveness, while China has already taken a leading position in this area. The torpedoes a Japanese submarine works so hard to fire might be blown into scrap metal by an interceptor before they even graze the carrier. 5. Unmanned underwater vehicle networks, the all-seeing eye, clearing the battlefield. This final hurdle is practically cheating. A Japanese submarine wants to stake out the Fujian in a critical strait, like the Miyako Strait or Bashi Channel? Sorry, we have unmanned underwater vehicles, UAVs. The current Chinese Navy is rapidly moving towards unmanned and intelligent capabilities. Before the carrier strike group passes, we can deploy hundreds of UAVs. These small devices are low cost, have long endurance, and continuously sweep the underwater area 24/7 with their sonar. They are like an underwater patrol drone swarm, thoroughly checking the predetermined route. The U.S. Navy is now desperately trying to achieve this, such as with their Boeing Orca project. Why? Because this technology is simply too effective. If a Japanese submarine dares to wait in the channel, it will be discovered by these UUVs before the carrier even arrives. Once its position is exposed, an anti-submarine missile will fly directly toward it. This is called preemptive clearing. It used to be cat and mouse, but now it's a room full of cameras catching the mouse. Where can the mouse hide? Do you see now? The Japanese media's claim of sinking the Fujian carrier is entirely built on the fantasy of treating the Fujian as a stationary, defenseless, unescorted dead target. In reality, facing the 5 gates of death, speed superiority, active sonar scanning, nuclear submarine strangulation, hard kill interception, and UUV swarm clearing, a Japanese conventional submarine, let alone attacking, would have to burn incense just to make it home alive. Modern warfare is a contest of system, industrial capacity, and technological dimension. China is committed to peaceful development, but this certainly does not mean we are a soft target. The sharp sword in our hands is meant to make those who attempt reckless adventures calm down and talk reasonably.